talk about the God of Thunder's latest and greatest enemy, a comic book. Thor has just recently learned from his mother that she's essentially allowing the extinction of humans to happen. She actually wants it because, well, they're destroying the Earth, so she in turn thinks it's only fair to destroy them first. So in order to try and stop her and fix all of this, we see Thor going to the mega corporation Roxxon, where he goes directly to the CEO, and yes, the CEO is a Minotaur, Dario Agger. We can get to that in another video. But Thor's letting it be known that he'll do whatever it takes in order to stop their corporate greed from, destroying the planet. We learn that Roxxon is working with the Executioner, and even worse than that, they're working with Amora the Enchantress. Since arriving at Roxxon, Thor has felt himself growing dumber and dumber, and of course, he chalks this up to the Enchantress's presence. We learn the reason why as Dario Agger reveals to him that Roxxon is now releasing a comic book called Roxxon Presents Thor. See, in-universe, comics exist. They are month-by-month, basically, periodicals of retellings of things the heroes have actually got into. But see, Roxxon has purchased the rights to Thor's comic books, and now they get to print whatever they want about Thor. And while the Enchantress may not be able to use story magic to quite the same potential that Loki can, what she lacks in potency, she makes up for in volume. A couple million mortals read this thing here on Midgard, whether it be on paper or on free websites or on social media panel by panel. Eventually, it's enough to affect even an Allfather. Now, the story of Thor himself is being twisted to one where he is an idiot, an oaf. It's no wonder that Thor himself is actually starting to feel this way when he's here on Midgard, and then he opens the comic book up to take a look at what's inside. And the really cool thing, I think, about all of this is that comic that Thor is releasing is a comic that got released for us to read as well. And in this story, we see that Thor, gets banished from Midgard because the Allfather isn't raising any bums. He tells him he must go to Earth, cut his hair, and get a job in the tech industry. And with the help of Roxxon and his mortal identity of Chad Hammer, Thor is here to save the world. But our hero would be nothing without the help of his trusty weapon, Mjolnir Premium, or his Thor truck, which of course has no door handles and is very rectangular. He fights the noble fight of, taking out protesters for simply taking up parking spaces. Eventually, enough people have believed in Roxxon Thor for him to come to life, and our actual Thor's thoughts to be completely clouded with witty banter. See him being hit and launched out of the building and thinking to himself, well, that just happened. When he crashes into a water tower, he tells himself that that's going to leave a mark. Of course, the ever-classic, as he's pulling himself up to his feet, he thinks to himself, he's right behind me, isn't he? By this point, you probably can tell what that is a parody of. And if you're wondering how the writer was able to get away with this, the final page of Roxxon Thor actually has the CEO of Roxxon, address the reader personally. The CEO says, that a brand can't take itself too seriously, that if it does, then it would be mocked, but a brand that is actually capable of mocking itself is able to laugh with you. Of course, this is also a motivation of the CEO where he's like, hey, we use this to get into consumers' heads and it's just, free advertisement and memes and you go viral and it all seems really harmless, right? It's been some of the most fun I've had reading in a long time, and if you're not already reading Al Ewing's Immortal Thor, I'd highly recommend checking it out.